Welcome into Missing the Point on the 617 podcast presented by Crowworthy. I am Michael Marcangelo, joined alongside by DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke, Hollywood, Rayshawn, Buchanan. And today we are talking about the NBA Finals featuring our Boston Celtics against the Golden State Warriors. Tip-off is, if you're listening to this on Thursday, tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Dave's time. And I know that you all did a preview on MTP. You can check that out at mtpshow.com. But let's talk a little bit about this finals preview. Right now, the Warriors are favorite. It's not a heavy favorite, but they are a favorite in this series. So, Ray, before I go into who you want to win, because we'll end with the predictions. What's your mindset now that the Celtics are where we all thought they should be? And what do you think is the most important factor going into game one?
Well, it's the one word is finally, right? Finally, they've gotten here. Finally, the Boston Celtics are back in the finals. Like, shout out to the Rock, right? So, I am excited. It's super fitting they're in California for this. So, I had to bring that up. But yeah, I love the fact that they finally got there. They have had a long journey to get there. They've been through a lot of different battles. And they proved that they were battle tested, and they find a way to get it done. The only thing I'm hoping is just act like you belong there. They had media day today, and they were a bit, kind of speaking about how Taylor said it best. Damn, I'm in the final. So yeah, have that moment. Like, you're off the court now. Have that moment. Soak that in. Think about what took from Chaminade to Duke to here. Think about all that. Soak that in, have that moment. But then when you come out there at 9:00 Thursday night, be ready to go. But like I said, finally they got there, and I'm glad they got over that hump.
Yeah, and I mean, DK, you're always someone that said you just got to believe in them, right? And actually, you've always said, like, you have little faith to me whenever I would criticize them. But I know you were riding high with your emotions after that Game 7 victory. How are you feeling now? And I guess what's the most important thing heading into Game 1 of the finals?
Yeah, I mean, I was riding pretty high. It was a pretty stressful. It was a pretty stressful finish to that last game. I'm sure you guys went through the same thing. I mean, I'm sure you always wanted me to be correct about this team at the same time. Like, as much as there's been a constant sort of rivalry in our group chat about being realistic or being optimistic. I don't think anyone's necessarily pessimistic. I think you probably were okay with not being correct about them not having it, getting through the hump. I mean, we're all happy that they're here. As far as how I feel now, I mean, yeah, the dust has settled, and I am starting to look at it in more of an X's and O's type way, as opposed to, like, my heart aflutter. I think we match up super well against them, like, in a practical sense, but something that Ray said really does speak to me, and it's been a nagging thought at the back of my head. This Golden State Warriors team is, like, the most experienced finals team you could, like, possibly be up against in relation to today's NBA. So I do totally agree with Ray, and I second what he said, that I want them to act like they belong there. I don't want them to just be caught up in the spectacle of being in the NBA Finals and having all those eyes on them. You guys remember when Rajon Rondo, it was annoying, but he would be so much better, like, the more eyes were on him. Like, TV Rondo was like pull up and hit fucking jump shots, like, left and right.
Unreal.
Couldn't hit a shot to save his life if he was only on Nesson. I just hope they rise to the challenge. I hope that they're a strong link team. And I believe in their mentality. Like, overall, I think we've seen them dig deep. I think people have a tendency to focus on the things that look like this Boston team used to do. And I think there was definitely moments of that in Game 7 against the Heat. But I would just say, like, that's a big shadow that was over this team. That was a big specter. There's a lot of guys on this team going, where you couldn't blame them to have the thought, oh my God, are we going to lose in another Eastern Conference Finals? Like, oh my God, because that's what the entire fan base was thinking. But they didn't. They pulled it out. And I think what I will take from this team, and to answer your question about what's most important going into Game 1, every series so far, at one point, I've said to myself, we're better than them. Now, does that necessarily mean we're going to win the series? No, it doesn't. Because with teams like the Heat, they can get tricky on you. They've got a really smart head coach. They've got that weird zone you got to battle through, and they don't quit. So that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to win the series, but I did feel better than all three of those teams. Least so Milwaukee, ironically, most so Brooklyn. And I think the most important thing in game one is, are we going to get that feeling again? I think it's a game of runs. There's moments where the Celtics look their best and there's moments where they don't look so good. I think that's true of a lot of teams, but it hits us harder because we're Celtics fans. But I think I'm looking for that in game one. I'm looking at what the Warriors are going to bring to the table. I'm looking at their talent level. And I'm hoping that we can live with their guards being better than ours, but Tatum's so much better in the forward matchups that it doesn't matter. That's kind of my best case scenario. I mean, it'd be great if Marcus Smart could eliminate Steph Curry from this finals, but I don't think that's going to happen. But I think that's the most important thing. It's to, in game one, let's see what everybody's got. Let's see what everybody has. And I think that feeling out process, they're going to have to get through pretty quick because the Golden State Warriors aren't fucking around when it comes to NBA finals.
Yeah. And I would just say, I think to Ray's point, then you reiterated it. You want to make sure that the Celtics act like, or they know how to behave in the finals, right? I think you have someone on the opposite side of the court who did that back in the 2015 finals. Steph Curry averaged 26 points a game, 6 assists, 5 rebounds. So the moment wasn't too big for him. And he is one of the guys in the NBA. I think we all believe that Tatum is one of the guys in the NBA. So is it safe to say, I'll start with you, DK, I started with Ray last time. He cannot have if the Celtics lose, it's not going to be all Jason Tatum's fault. If they get blown out, it will be on him. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, but that's not going to happen. I mean, I think that we can see, you know where I stand on Jason Tatum. I've said this on a million different shows. I think if there's any new listeners out there, I don't really think the fan base is fair to him. I've been saying this since this last offseason. I really don't think the fan base is fair to him. I think there's a lot of people that think nostalgically about a different time. And I also don't think this fan base, and guys, please take this for what it actually means. It's not an insult, but this fan base, as it's currently constituted, doesn't really know how to have a player like Jason Tatum on their team. Most of us have watched a championship with the Boston Celtics in the vein of Ray, Kevin, and Paul, who, Kevin was still probably pretty up there in the all-star list by that point. And, Ray was a very, very good player. And Paul was a very, very good player. But we didn't have anybody like Jason Tatum, not there, and I think you got to give him a little space because all of our eyes are on him, but so are all the eyes of the other team. There is still another team out there trying to prevent him from doing what he's trying to do. And I think that happened a couple of times in the Heat series, and I don't think that's a huge deal, to be honest with you. I still think he did what he needed to do when he needed to do it, and I think that will be true in this next series as well. And I think, if you ask me, I think for the very first time this week, I would say it, and it would be true, that I'd rather have Jason Tatum than Steph Curry, because especially the way that these two teams are built, we might be able to. I know this is crazy to think about, but we might actually like it when Steph Curry's on the floor, because we switched so much. We might be able to exploit him a lot defensively. Maybe. I'm not saying, I know it's a finals preview. We gotta see what happens in game one. We split the games in the regular season, and there was a lot of injury stuff when those two games happened. We didn't have Al or Grant, I think, when we played them at home. So, we don't really know. But wouldn't you rather have the 6'9" guy that can also defend and is a pretty good shooter and is getting more and more clutch as the series go on? I would.
Yeah.
No, I mean, for sure. I think that the 5 of 18 game is coming from Steph, where he's 2 of 8 from 3, maybe go 6 or 7 from the line. That game is happening. But when that happens, you have to realize it and say, okay, we got to close them out right now. And I'm not saying they're trying to close them out as far as you win the championship that night. I'm saying you got to win that particular game when he's not on, because he could come back to this game and go 13-20. It's out of control. You're not wrong in that proclamation about the defense, DK. He's going to be exposed defensively because he's never been known to be a defender, great defender. Now, will he get a few steals because he's a gambler on defense? Sure, that happens. But he's not someone that's going to lock you down for a few possessions. Like guys on that team is going to do that is, Gary Payton II, Jordan Poole, obviously Draymond Green. So they have very capable defenders now. Do they have guys that can guard and switch 1 through 5 like Boston does? They don't. So I think that's where Boston has the advantage in that regard. But yeah, Steph Curry is definitely going to get exposed defensively because that's never been his strong suit. And he's also saving his legs, obviously to shoot on the offensive end. But, to your point about Tatum, will it be his fault, Mike? Yeah, I mean, it's going to fall on his shoulders because he's the best player, maybe arguably in the series, but he's definitely the best player, on the Celtics. So it should fall, on his shoulders. However, I think that he's going to be up to the challenge. I think that he's going to show why he belonged on the stage. I really liked his demeanor, during the media day today. So I think that he has the right mindset. Once again, he's happy to be there, but I think he's not satisfied with where they are right now. They're all happy to be there in the finals. They're all excited, to a man. But I think and it all started Sunday night, right? We saw the video that came out on the Celtics.com site where Amos said, "Hey, great, we didn't get it done in Game 6. It was even sweeter to close their ass out at home." So they already had the right mindset. They are road warriors, like we have talked about that. And I'm not talking tag team. Like they come in, they do their thing, and I think they're 6-2 now on the road. So this may be a little forward, but I'm excited. I have no doubt team on the road. My doubt is in TD Garden, but I have no doubt on the road they can win the game. If they need a game to get it back to Boston or whatever, like that doubt is gone. I have no doubt in my mind. They need one on the road, they can get it done. So whether it's game 1, game 2, game 6, or game 7, I mean not game 6, game 6 would be in Boston, but 1, 2, 5, or 7, like I have no doubt they can get one of those games, if not 2, to win it. I always kind of Oracle. What's it called now? Is it Chase Center now? It's okay. It'll forever be Oracle. Like I think they said it too. Like, it's always gonna be Oracle.
Yeah, I mean, so my point there is I don't expect a sweep here from either team, right? I think that a loss for the Celtics is not going to be all on Tatum. But I think that if there was a game, I'm not saying this is going to happen, so everyone just calm down. If the Celtics do get blown out, I would blame Tatum for that because he can't allow that. Offensively, he can't allow it. And I think the criticism from most Celtics fans, DK, I can just speak for myself, is that we knew how talented he was. We just never saw him make everyone else around him better the way that he did this year. And he did. Now he's doing it. And he's done this entire playoff run. I mean, 27 points, almost 7 rebounds, 6 assists a game. You can't touch that.
Sure. I mean, but that's you, right? Saying this on a podcast of like-minded fellow Celtics fans. When you step on the internet, I mean, we're technically on the internet now, but like not yet, not until Craig edits the show and puts it up on the fucking feed. But like, I did because Ray was working, he couldn't do the Twitter, right? So I did the tweets on Sunday, and like, good Lord, like it was like being in a foxhole with a bunch of guys that were just panicking, and it was like to your point about Tatum specifically. He was having a fucking great game. Like, was he rising up and like just knocking down shot after shot after shot? No. But every time he didn't do that, right, which is what we've been bitching about him doing too much for the last 3 years, right? Every time he was playmaking, every time he waited for the double team and like very intelligently passed it off, every time he set up the play, nothing. Like crickets. Shots? Yeah. It's, oh yeah, Tatum. It's like, guys, you got to look at the whole package. You got to look at everything because they weren't letting him shoot. They went out there and they were like, we're not going to get killed by Jason Tatum's jump shot tonight. So they were double teaming him. They were clipping him around screens. They were doing all the things that they teach you in basketball 101 on how to stop a shooter, right? They weren't living with him. They were not living with him. And like that, because that's the mistake Milwaukee made. You remember? Milwaukee was like, make someone else beat us. Or they didn't do make someone else beat us. They were like, all right, well, let's see. Like Jason Tatum was bound to dry up. And that game 6, it was just like whap, 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 whap. And it's like, it's not a good idea. So try something else. Well, he can also play make. He can also, his handles got a little bit more assured. You know what I mean? They're still not perfect, but they're better. He makes smarter passes. He makes the second outlet pass instead of the first. Sometimes he looks around for anybody. Like he directs traffic. Like he's doing all the things. He's dangerous in the paint. You know, I do still, you know, if this time last year we were saying playmaking, this time next year post game, but like we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I think if he has an established turnaround jump shot in the post with his size, I think he's absolutely unplayable at that point. I think he's, you know, we're talking top 3 in the NBA by that point. If, you know, if that comes true. You remember LeBron after the Mavericks series, you know, and everybody and their mother could see he needed a fucking post game because Dirk Nowitzki just bullied him for the entire series. And then he came back better than ever. So I think it's the same thing for Tatum. I think he's got the size. I think he's got the athleticism. I think he's got the shot to get that corner turnaround that really isn't there yet. And just in general, better back to the basket play, but that's not a criticism. Will it be on his shoulders? Of course it will. Of course it will. But that's just by the merit of him, like Ray said, like you said, him being the best player on the team. It has to fall on his shoulders. I just want a little bit of appreciation from the Celtics fan base. I've been fighting this fight for the entire playoffs of the fact that he also, what also is at his feet is that he got us here. You know, contributions, roles played from other players, of course, but we're here because of Jason Tatum, bar none. Fact.
Yeah.
So
oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
No, that's it. That's all I had.
No, it was beautiful, but no, he has to learn to not only dominate in certain spots, right? Like I think that in Game 7 we saw, I think at the beginning of the fourth, if you go back and look at the game, like he had moments at the beginning of the fourth that kind of pushed them away to get the lead. That little shimmy shake he had, it was an ode to Kobe Bryant. Watch Kobe Bryant tape. That was an ode to Kobe. I know he had the the band on his sleeve. I mean,
yeah, I didn't love that. I didn't love that.
Yeah,
don't wear those colors in a Celtics uniform.
Yeah, I mean, it's whatever. Hey, we want what Kobe had, so I'll take.
It's just the colors for me.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
Goal. I mean,
I feel you. I know. I don't want to be hard. I know that she was a film. I listen to it. I gotta get a laugh out of that. But I feel you for sure. But no, that little shimmy shake, that inside out that he had, basically Jimmy Butler in quicksand. I was like, oh, okay, like he's ready. He's ready to go to San Francisco. Like he's ready. Then he made another pass, and I'm like, yes, like, but I'm like, I think with him, he gets better as the game goes on. And I want, once again, what I'm about to say, but just like Mike said, I want folks to calm down because I'm not saying they're these two guys, but I just kind of feel this is how they play at times. So, and it's ironic that we just beat Miami, right? So I feel sometimes that Tatum and Brown are kind of like Wade and LeBron. And what I mean by that is Wade at that time would dominate in the first 3 quarters at times. Very much how Jaylen Brown does it at times, right? First quarter, Jaylen is a real thing. He goes ham. Third quarter, sometimes he goes crazy. And all of a sudden, Tatum kind of lays in the way and kind of just picks his spots throughout the game. And then bam, in the fourth quarter, he goes crazy. So I want to see more of them dominate at the same time. I know we want to get away from the your turn, my turn basketball and get away from the ISO basketball, but I want to see a 2016 type performance out of this. And what I mean is I want to see both of them get 40 in the game. You know, Jalen Rose and Mark Jackson did it back in the day. Obviously Kyrie and LeBron did it. Like I want to see that because I think that they're capable of doing that. And if we see a game like that, I like to say I'll definitely need the happy tissue, Mike, for sure. But I'll be super excited, but you know,
to that point, and I don't have the numbers to back this up or any sort of data. I'm just making it up as I go. Just on the eye test, don't you feel like if the ball is still in either one of those two guys' hands with 8 on the shot clock and it goes to the other guy, we're scoring? Yep. You know, like if Jason Tatum has the ball with 8 seconds left, the defense starts to collapse in on him a little bit because it's like, well, it's 8 seconds. He's a good shooter. If that ball leaves his hands and goes to Jaylen Brown, we're fucking scoring. You know what I mean? So I just would love to see. I mean, look, we're going to the finals. We're splitting hairs here, but I to your point, I agree with you. I would love to see just a little bit more kind of back and forth with those two guys, you know, because I think Jalen actually has the ability to play really well off of Tatum's game, but he doesn't always do it.
Absolutely. No, perfect said. Because even, and I want to say just one point before Mike leads us on to the next category, but I remember, like I said, back to that fourth quarter with Tatum, right? So he makes the shot. I think the next play was they ran a new play that I think has gone viral on Twitter where basically it's either old Golden State play or old San Antonio play, obviously, because he was underneath Pop. Someone sets the pick at the top of the key, and then if they see two guys come, the guy that sets the pick slips it. In this case, it was Marcus. And Tatum.
They called a foul on that play though, right?
No, Marcus Smart scored on this one. I know what play you're talking about though, but
yeah,
Marcus Smart scored on this one. It was like the little floater he made. And I was like, I said last year or even 2 years ago, he's shooting over those two guys. But he saw, okay, I'm drawing two. Oh, Marcus Smart slipped the pick. I'm getting passed over the top. I'm 6'10". They're not going to block it. They're not going to block my pass. Marcus Smart knew, okay, Derek White built to the corner. Brown built to the corner. Well, you know what? They may build out to them. So let me just kind of freeze it there. He has a little flick shot. It goes in. And I said, oh my God, do this over and over and over again.
Until they do something to stop you.
Yeah, until they stop it. And it'll be very easy. Once again, it's not going to be that easy, obviously, because it's the finals. But I just think when you're doing plays like that, when you're thinking about making a right read, repetition, it becomes who you are, and it's like you are repeatedly what you do. So keep doing that. Keep thinking that game through. Keep making sure that those guys are on their toes on the defensive end, and we'll be very happy, come Father's Day this year. In my opinion, but we'll get there. We'll get there shortly.
Seeing as you just brought his name up, I think for me, one of the most important players on the floor, and now that this is going to be a real hot take, is Marcus Smart. And I believe that he needs to be more of a facilitator, more of a defensive presence, and less of the taking the only 5 field goals in the last 5 minutes of a game 7 and missing all of them. Right? That has not been the rule. That's been the exception this postseason. And I think I don't know if I don't think Golden State's great defensively. I don't think that they're terrible. But I do think that they could bait Marcus into thinking that he needs to be the scorer, and that could be a huge problem. So, based on what you saw in just the final minutes of Game 7, DK, and what you know and what you've seen about Marcus, what do you think his role needs to be in this series for the Celtics to be successful?
Well, I do have some thoughts on this actually, because I think surprise. I don't have anything on this one, Mike. Go to somebody else.
Pass.
No, I do actually have some thoughts about this, because I thank you for saying that it was the exception, not the rule, because I think that's absolutely true of Marcus Smart in that Game 7. I think if what we love about Marcus and what makes Marcus great can also be a bit of a poison punch. It's also the thing that takes him down in those situations. Him being the guy that he is, caring as much as he does, being as involved as he is, wanting to go 110%, gamble on defensive plays, all that stuff. That's all the stuff that makes him great. In a Game 7, in crunch time, with the specter of, holy shit, I've been in this situation a couple of times before. I need this to work. What you love about Marcus Smart is that he wants the ball in his hands when the game's on the line. That's also what you hate about him a little bit too, right? I think he just got a little bit overwhelmed by the occasion, but I think he's also very good at learning from those experiences, and he's listening to his coach now. That's very clear. As far as, could Golden State bait him into that again? Absolutely. They absolutely could. And are they better than Miami? And it might blow up in our face a little bit more? Totally. But now we at least have the Miami tape to be like, Marcus, come on, man. Like, we talked about this. So hopefully that plays out. As far as his role, offensively, 0 points. 0 points, zero assists. In this particular matchup for me, it's don't fucking go to sleep the second Steph Curry enters the half court, right? Don't go to sleep. You need to be fully awake, because you can let it go from anywhere. I need to see him switch with Jalen onto Clay a few times to see how that's going to work, because Clay's bigger than he looks. He can shoot over Marcus, but I want to say that Marcus kind of eliminates size when it comes to defensive matchups. Like, nobody believes that more than Marcus Smart does, which, and again, I love that about him and I hate that about him, right? I want to see how those switches go. It's all about his how he keeps those guys quiet, and right hand in hand with that is how Jaylen Brown, who I predict will be the matchup for Clay, because it just makes sense. How he handles Clay on the ball, I'm not worried. Off the ball, Jaylen has a tendency to be a little sleepy. Now that isn't a reactionary take. I mean, that's just, he can be a little bit sleepy off the ball. I'm not saying he's terrible. I'm not saying he's Rob Williams level bad off the ball. But, and that's a whole other conversation. And I know I might be dealing with that note, but Rob really drives me fucking crazy sometimes on the defensive end. He can be real bitey, real sleepy. But I want to see how Jaylen does on Clay. And I think that's going to factor in on a lot of what Marcus has to do, because if Jaylen's doing a good enough job on Clay, just being in his face when he shoots, and you live with the ones that go in, I mean, that's just the way it is. Then we decide, okay, well, then Marcus is just, Steph Curry's just your whole job. That Steph Curry is just your whole job, and you just he needs to be having nightmares about you every single night. Even if he gets 40, which he will. He needs to be thinking, God damn, that was the hardest fucking 40 points I've ever scored in my entire life, right? Against anyone else, that would have been 60. He needs to be thinking that. So offensively, yeah, I mean, the switches are going to be important. Like I said earlier, he can exploit Steph a little bit, but I would love to be switching Steph onto the Jays. That's what I would love to be doing. And Marcus can help facilitate that, because if Jason Tatum gets Steph Curry one-on-one, it's fucking over. Like it's over, So if we can make those switches, but at the same time, and I'm not trying to go all Bobby here and get too excited. At the same time, if we're talking about matchups, are they going to put Draymond on Jason Tatum? Is that what they're going to do? Because who else?
They might at times.
But dude, if he's going to get murdered, have you seen Draymond try to jump recently? Geez,
yeah, but he's a positional defender. So when I mean,
so it's where he picks him up.
Yeah, it's where he picks him up.
Fair enough.
Yeah, he's gonna make a play.
Switch him out onto the perimeter though.
Oh no, it's
that could be a bloodbath.
It's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad. But Wiggins is probably the matchup for Tatum. Like I said, we can break that down shortly. But yeah, Wiggins probably be the matchup. But I'll chime in. You gave a great take on Marcus, but I'm afraid, DK. I'm afraid, Mike. I'm afraid to those that are listening right now that I have some bad news. We need Marcus Smart's offense in this series. We do. I know that fans are infuriated.
Eric White.
7. Yeah. No. Hey. Listen. Does anyone someone there?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. Listen. He'll have a major part in this series too, in my opinion. But just for the minutes that Marcus Smart's out there. But back to Game 7 real quick before I speak about this series. 24-9-5. They needed every bit of that 24 points. They needed it. So we can harp on what he did the last 2 minutes, and I get that. That was infuriating.
Last 5 minutes.
Sure. But I thought it was the last 2. Yeah, but I know maybe the 3-point shots from the last couple minutes. But
you got to live with his volume. I said this to Bobby. He had 2 huge threes and he hit 2 huge free throws in that game.
Right.
So you live with the volume.
Right, exactly. So it's like that. So that, yeah, exactly. So you made my point there. So it's like he has to, you have to live with that, and he's come a long way offensively. To say otherwise,
100%.
I don't know what to tell you, but it's like he's come a long way offensively. So they need, and I'm not saying get the 24 every night, because that may not be doable, but can you get the 12 to 15? And then maybe you look for Derek White to get the 12 to 15. And between you two, you match what Curry's going to do, because he's going to get 30 a night. That's all you can ask for. I do think they probably will have the lineup of Smart, White, Tatum, Brown, and probably Horford to close the game. Looney and Draymond will not be able just to kind of camp in their paint like they did against Dallas. Al Horford and Rob are not Maxi Kleber, and they're not Dwight Powell. Sorry.
They don't want Draymond anywhere near out. They don't want Draymond anywhere near out.
Well, he's going to have to guard him at some point, though. Yes.
No, I mean, offensively, if Al picks up Draymond, he's out of the rhythm.
Sure. And then so because Al shoots that 3, or Al can show and go. We know Al.
He was doing such a good job about that. Nobody was talking about that in the fucking Heat game. His 3 dried up, admittedly, and not to derail us or go off course, but I just have to say he did such a fucking good job of because of how good he was shooting it over the course of the playoffs, he was pump faking and going by guys like he was a fucking 6'6" wing guy in the fucking 90s. It was crazy. I was
I think that fast break he had where he did a little, his version of a Euro step, and it should have been an N1, but it's okay. He made the basket, went out there playing, but yeah, he's like, and that's what makes this. That's why people think this is going to be a pick'em series in that regard, because there's a lot of matchups that are pretty even. There are going to be times where you can take advantage of certain players on both teams, obviously. I will say, and this will make Bobby happy in this moment too. I do think that we'll have a moment where Peyton Pritchard has a hell of a game. Probably back in the Garden. I don't think on the road, but when either games 3, 4, or 6, depending on how long the series goes, you'll see a moment where Peyton Pritchard comes alive, and you'll see a "This Is What I Do" part 2. And the crowd will go crazy. I can't believe I'm going to be in the building, but it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, you're going to the finals, right?
That's the finals, baby.
But so the reason why I asked that question, right, and it's not just because I'm sick of Marcus shooting, because I think he's outgrown that. I think he's shown that he does not just rely primarily on that anymore.
Right.
Is that I think in his career, when guarded by Marcus Smart, Steph Curry is shooting 33% from the field. So if you do that, and I'm not expecting you to do that every single night, but if you just get him down from, what is he, a 46% from the field normally shooter, like if you do that, you've already given the Celtics an extra 12 to 13 points. Don't cough it up. Sure.
Final step. I don't know if he shoot 33% in this series.
There's going to be a couple of games. He's done it he did it in 2015. He did it in 2016. And another thing that's about too, the Warriors are turnover prone. They are. They're it's a hot dog type of style. Or I'm going to pass it this way. I'm going to do this. Like, they're very turnover prone when they want to be. And if you turn them over, you have to run. You have the athletes. I'm telling. There's nothing else you hear from me saying this series. I'm telling you, these boys are turnover prone. If you get the ball, go. I don't care if it's Al. I don't care if it's Jalen, whoever. Get the ball, go. You live with the result. So if it gets blocked, fine, whatever. But put the pressure on them every single time, and I'm guaranteed if you get 15 to 20 points in the open court, once again, we're gonna like the results that we get.
You guys ever see the movie Highlander?
Yep.
Right.
Yes.
So
So
he's immortal, right? He fights other. I'm gonna get to a real point here. He fights other immortals. When he chops off their head, he gets all their powers, right? We chopped off the head of the Miami Heat. We need to play defense on the Golden State Warriors like they played defense on us. Ball pressure, like enforcing turnovers. Your average basketball fan would watch a game of the Golden State Warriors and say the reason why they're good is because Steph Curry is so good at shooting, and that is a reason why they're good for sure. And Klay Thompson is so good at shooting, and that is a reason why they're good. I think they play incredibly fast, and I think that's why they're turnover prone. I think they're a very quick basketball team. Now, this isn't news, but their speed is more of a factor, in my opinion, against the Dallas Mavericks of the world. If they had seen the Phoenix Suns, their speed is more of a factor against half court, build your offense type teams. You know what I really don't want to see out of the Celtics, and I kind of didn't want to see it against the Heat either, is the manage the clock Celtics. They'll get murdered by the Golden State.
So bad.
Just keep playing with pace. Keep playing with pace. We might be faster than them. I don't know. We have to see across a couple of games, but we can at least live with them, to Ray's point.
Yeah.
And I would even go so far as to say, and this is unlike what I've been saying about the Celtics for the last 5 years, we could lose a guy off the crash if we're getting back faster on transition baskets. We could lose one dude, because I hate how bad we are rebounding at times, but it might be worth it. Because of their size, it might not be that much of a mismatch. You've noticed that there's 3 dudes standing underneath the basket for our defensive rebounds, right? There's Tatum's always thereabouts, Al's always thereabouts, Rob. You'll always see 3 guys there because we fucked that up so much, and we have fucked that up so much that he's kind of putting a Band-Aid on. He's like, everyone needs to crash the boards. Everybody needs to crash the boards. It makes perfect sense.
Right.
I think you can let him off the leash a little bit against the Warriors because they're not that big. And I mean, they have guys that are big, but they're not that big overall. I think they play better small. When they are small, one guy getting the rebound and someone that can pass full court, I think we could see an entirely different Celtics offense. And I think that's what they've kind of been good at in this playoffs is adjusting on the fly, and I would love to see kind of big athletic plays from them, but it's going to be tiring. So if we're worried about, blowing leads and giving up leads in the fourth, I don't know, but I think we should see what that looks like at least.
Yeah, but the first 3 games all have 2 days of rest in between. So, you know,
And we actually got some rest on this last swing for once, which is nice.
right, yeah, exactly. So to me, the first 3 games, there are no excuse for them the pace to be where it needs to be. But to me, that's the only time that we see them manage to Park Celtics is when they're dog tired. Like this Miami series was grueling. That Milwaukee series was grueling, right? Obviously, the Milwaukee series had that weird 3-day mix in between, which is why I think they ended up winning and coming back in Game 4 because um, you know, they were just ready to
I
go at that
lost game one.
Right. Yeah. That too. That too.
I think
that
we're
too.
fucking destroyed. You know, like
Right.
that third quarter was just the most tired basketball team because you saw the Milwaukee series. You don't want to say that at the time because you don't want to make excuses, but
Right. Right.
I mean,
Yeah,
it was pretty
facts.
clear to me.
Yeah. No. I no. Yeah. Facts. But it's just to me. So that's where that connects. That's where we head. But yeah, if this team has rest, like to me, I totally expect Al Horford tomorrow night to have a phenomenal game. So to me, I wouldn't be surprised to see him get 22, 14, and 5 tomorrow night. Wouldn't be surprised at all. Now, that may happen by design, because I think that Golden State saying, well, Al Horford's getting 22, then it is what it is. But what happens is what they don't take into account, and this is an intangible thing, you know, I think this team feeds off of what Al does. That game for Milwaukee was a fucking masterpiece. And I can see both of these teams are finesse. They are. They're not super physical. Like I think Boston can be if they need to be, but we saw them get punched around and so on and so forth. So both of these teams want to be free flowing. So to me, that helps Boston in this series because now it's like, okay, well, if I'm not getting touched up like that, Tatum could do his 1-2 side step, Jalen could do his little step back jumper. Like if that's the case, just free flowing, I like our chances. I really do. And I think we could be a little bit more physical than them when we need to be. So that's where I think we may have, the advantage as well.
I really want to talk about my hot take here and get your thoughts on it because I think as a consensus, Celtics fans have been saying, with this core, with this team, and going against the Warriors, like we are going to be the next Warriors. Like we're going to be a perennial deep playoff finals contender, maybe a championship contender. I'm going to say this and then I want you all to react. You can decide the order. I think as much as I am so proud of this team for getting to the finals and really anything's gravy, that's true. There needs to be a win now mentality because now more than ever, I do believe that image matters more in the NBA. And with Jaylen Brown's contract expiring at the end of the 2024 season, I can see him wanting to go be the man somewhere else. So I think you got to do it now. You got to do it this year. You're going up against the best of the last 10 years. But we cannot, as a fan base, and no, I get criticized for this, just, settle for them being there. It's great. And at the end of the day, I'll be happy. But we don't have 8 years. This might not be the case. That's how I feel. But DK, I wonder if you agree or disagree and why.
It's a good question. I mean, I think, how would, I guess the question really is, how would I feel about this Celtics team if they didn't win this season? Now sitting where we are right now. And I think it's not quite blowing it in the bubble. I really feel Ray and I were on the same page about what a missed opportunity that was. Because I think that was an exhibition title that we could be claiming right now instead of me shitting on the Lakers for having it because I don't really think it's real. And I mean, look at the Lakers team now. If you need some evidence, but I think it would. I really do think at this point it would be a missed opportunity. I think you've just heard us for the last however many minutes talk about. You don't want to get ahead of yourselves. You really don't, and we're trying not to. And Bobby's not here, so we're doing a decent job of it. But I really think that we match up well against this Warriors team. And I think there's a world, not saying knock on wood, not saying it's true, but I think there's a world where we've already played the hardest team in the playoffs. And that was the Milwaukee Bucks. I think overcoming them was a pretty big deal. And I think that that's what made the team sort of believe in themselves. I also think we used to, and no disrespect to Brad, but I also think we used to get kind of got by really good tactical coaches, like the Spoelstras of the world. And I don't think Ime lets that happen. I do think he's more of a man manager. I think he kind of gets the players playing their game. But I do also think he sees, he has a really high basketball IQ. And I think he sees what the other team's doing and he's really good at reacting to it. So to beat a Steve Kerr led Golden State Warriors team for his career, for his image, for like, what it does for him, regardless of how disappointed I'd be if we didn't win this year, I think it hurts our value as a franchise if we don't win this year. And I think it's a high stakes game, this playoffs, for whatever reason. If, we've been on the tightrope with Jason Tatum. I've been on this podcast getting litanies of shit on the internet for saying that Jason Tatum's right now is better than Paul Pierce ever was. And as right as I am, I'm gambling that. My reputation's getting gambled every single time he goes out for a game 7. You know what I mean? Because then you go back to Twitter and it's like, well, the truth woulda. I get it. But Ime beating the Steve Kerr-led Golden State team, all those guys winning a championship together makes them, I think, want to stay together more. I think winning a championship might lead to 3. I think losing a championship might lead to 0. You know what I mean? I think if we're talking about the circumstances of right now, because if you're Jaylen Brown at the end of the 2024 season, if you have a fucking finals appearance and win, you're like, why would I go anywhere? But if you're going, this team can make it, but can they get it done? You're not going to think it's you. You're a pro athlete. You think you can be a champion. It's going to be somebody else's fault. So I think both things are true, I guess, to answer your question. I think it would be incredibly disappointing for us as a fan base, but I also think a lot of like the future of the franchise is sort of riding on it because we're here now. We already did make those Eastern Conference finals, regardless of taking it intelligently and being like, well, they're only 23 and 24, like, having all those arguments. It doesn't matter. Like what people believe always ends up becoming true. So if they lose, it's going to start this fucking train now, and that was going to be true in the Eastern Conference finals also. It's going to be really hard to argue with people. I'll still do it. I'll still be proud of them. I'll still be happy. Sure. But it's going to be really hard to argue with people when they say, well, you guys are kind of, what's the term? You're there. So you're a stepping stone. You don't want to become a stepping stone team. I won't believe that they are if they lose, but a lot of people will, and that'll sort of make it true in a weird way. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Hey, Ray, how much urgency do you think that A, do you have, and B, do you think that we all should have, appreciating the moment, not taking it for granted, all of that. But the argument being that this young team, they have a lot of time. The NBA, we all know the NBA. People, it's all about brand now. And I think, Jaylen Brown just inked the deal for with what Kanye West donated on to sports. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So I could see him in a real world in 2 years say, I don't want to be Robin. I want to be Batman. So they should play with that urgency. Tell me why I'm wrong or why you think I'm right.
No, their level of urgency should be to the fucking roof. Like let's not dance around there. I'm not going to tiptoe around that. But there's 2 things that came to mind as DK was elaborating his point. They need to remember the pain of 2017, remember the pain of 2018, remember the pain of 2019, remember the pain of 2020, and even remember the pain of last year. Brad Stevens talked about it in a few interviews that he had when they ended the season a few years back. But the core that's been there, so Smart, Horford, Tatum, Brown, Rob says that, like, remember what you felt as you were walking off the court in each of those series, knowing that you could have went further, but you had a missed opportunity. You're now here. All of that pain, it should bring you here now to joy, right? Or at least it should motivate you to bring that joy, right? And Frankie Beverly and Bay said a song a long time ago, about joy and pain, sunshine and rain. And Tatum said it today. It can't rain forever. That's right. Well, it can't rain forever, Tatum. It's time. It is your time, Brown. It is your time, Marcus Smart. It is your time, Al Horford. It is your time to get this shit done. It is not next year. It is not 3 or 4 years. And also, I'm gonna go back to Jaylen Brown, right? Jaylen Brown had an interview 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, with the wonderful, the talented Taylor Rooks. Would love to have an interview with her one day because I think she is one of the best sports figure people in the industry. Honestly, great interviewer. And he said in that interview, he said, by the time I'm 28, Taylor, I'm gonna have 5 rings. Now that's not going to be the case because he's about to be 26. He's not going to have 5. but you damn sure need to have at least one. And I think what DK said, the one may turn into three. They may mess around and win 3 out of the next 5, and be Warriors light. If that's the case, hey, we're in business, and then we had this dynasty here to speak of, for years to come. So that urgency has to be there. And internalize that shit. Feel what you need to feel. Understand that, I didn't get this far to only get this far. It is
Right.
time to get it done. You have the talent, you have the pieces, you have the coaching. The opportunity is laid before you. It's your time to shine.
Back to something that you said earlier, Ray, but I'm going to just turn this around on UGK. How much of, they're young, this could be the build of a dynasty, the start of a dynasty, the start of like an 8-year run. How beneficial is it to have someone like Al Horford on the team who waited all this time to play in his first finals game? Is that someone that you can look to and say, listen, don't take this shit for granted. Like, we're not happy to be here. We'll be happy to ride the duck boats in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping it's not a double-edged sword. I'm hoping not. I'm hoping their adrenaline didn't dump getting into the finals after getting over that hump, because they do have another big hump to climb, and I think that's sort of what we've been skirting around for this whole show. Having someone like Al Horford there, how important is it? It's incredibly important. And if you factor it in to your previous question, this is it. Maybe next year, maybe, but come on, Al Horford playing at this level in the playoffs. He's played in so many playoffs. There's so many miles in his legs. Yeah, you can use it as inspiration, because I wanted to dedicate the entire fucking podcast, and I don't just mean an episode. I wanted to dedicate I wanted Al Horford to move into my fucking house at the end of Game 7. He could have take my wife, please. I was just about it. Al Horford was a god among men in that series. I mean, you could see how much it meant to him. And that's the thing. It's hard to make a championship team. It takes great analytics. It takes dedication. It takes great players. But more than anything, it takes a little bit of luck. Every championship in any sport you can think of, it takes a little bit of things breaking your way and not breaking other people's way. Gordon Hayward's ankle breaking a certain way after we signed him is an example of that. What does it look like if that doesn't happen? Al Horford playing at this level, at this age, in this squad, that's just pure luck. It's pure pixie dust. It's not something you can capture every single season. So it's a fucking really big opportunity, and I don't want to fucking blow it, because we've seen it in there's the Super Bowl hangover, and there's a reason for it. It's mental, but it's not just made up. It's really hard to get there. It's not just hard to win it. It's really, really hard to get there. It's really difficult. And this has been an especially difficult road for the Celtics. So if they lose, how difficult will it be for them to pick themselves up off the floor again?
But can I get dramatic for a second?
Yeah.
So this, I know this is gonna sound super wild, but it's something that came into my mind as DK was talking. Does this feel like 91 to you? When Chicago was on the verge, and Chicago they kept losing. They kept losing Detroit. They lost to Boston.
Yeah.
They just couldn't get over the hump. And it wasn't until they get to the 91 finals, they smacked Detroit. They sweep Detroit finally, right? And then they get to the finals. LA had won 5 titles in the 80s, had been to numerous finals. Even though I think they won the 8 finals in the 80s, right? Won 5 of them.
They didn't go to the one that counts, though. Not to go down that road, but they fucking missed the one they should have showed up for. But regardless,
right? Yeah, exactly. But I'm saying, but just in that regard, I just feel like they get there in 91. It's just the end of the Lakers dynasty. They got back there again after losing a couple years ago to Detroit at the time. So I just kind of feel like it feels like 91, where we're on the verge of something special here.
Jason Tatum is Michael Jordan. I'm with you.
Yeah. I'm with
do
it.
it. Let's fucking declare it right here.
There you go, Craig. It's just the quarter of the night. But I just think that's something where it almost feels like that. Once again, and I hope I'm not being too dramatic when I say that, but I just feel like 91 was a revenge tour for Chicago. This now here has been a revenge tour for Boston. And I just think sometimes the old dog, you got to take him out to the back. And it's time. And
Take him out to the woodshed.
Take him out to the woodshed. I don't want Peter to come after me, but I'm just saying, it's time to take old Yeller to the back.
No, Mom, Yeller's my dog. I'll do.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's time.
You know,
It's time
I'll
for
say
a new
this.
day.
I'll say this in response to that. Even if that's not the case and the universe is random and we're all living in a simulation and nothing really matters, I hope Ime Udoka is taking that to the fucking bulletin board and being like, so guys, here's your fucking ceiling. Check out the parallel. You should send him an email. Check out the parallels. I'm not even fucking joking. It's exactly what they should be hearing right now. Regardless, if it's true or if it's not true, convince 1 through 8 on the fucking Celtics that it is fucking true. Take that, put it up on the board, be like, look, this is what happened in the 88 finals. Look at Scotty and Michael when they get here. Oh, it's the Pistons. Their old nemesis. It's the Eastern Conference Finals. We can't do it. Oh, yes, we can. Sure, they did it in 4. We did it in 7. But you know what? We made the NBA a bunch of extra money. So, like, we'll become their darlings in a few years. Thank you so much, Scott Foster, for that wonderfully officiated Game 7. Here we are. Look, guys, you're Michael Jordan. You're Scottie Pippen. Don't tell Jalen Brown he's Scottie Pippen, actually. Don't even assign any goals.
Don't say that.
Yeah, fuck yeah. Fuck yeah, draw those parallels. Of course, draw those parallels. Every single kid in that room wanted to be Michael Jordan. Every single one at one point. And then now here they are. And they can all, we're being honest, they can all fucking jump just as high as he could, which nobody else could in the 91. So fuck it.
That might not be true. I don't want to argue a semantical point, but Jason Tatum wasn't even thought of when Michael Jordan was in his prime. I mean, he doesn't even know. Like, who he watched Kobe. That's how old we are now.
Yeah,
he had a VHS of Space Jam like all of us. Okay, everybody had the fucking Space Jam VHS.
Right? Yeah, exactly. It's your chance, dude. Your chance at the Space Jam. Yeah, there you go. I love it.
Before we go down to a Space Jam rabbit hole, because I think we can all do it. We already talked about our top 2
rabbit hole. I see what you did.
Yeah. Wait, nod. We already acknowledged. We already acknowledged are the 2 best players on the court for each side. Here's what I want to know: Is Jordan Poole more important to the Warriors than Marcus Smart is to the Celtics, and why? And Ray, you made the first noise, so I'll go with you.
So, and this might be one of the harder questions you asked all night. So, Jordan Poole should have won Most Improved Player. I know that they gave it to John Morant. I get it. You know, what he did for Memphis this year was incredible. No shortchanging him there. But someone that can get you 25 and 5 off the bench, that granted, he's not gonna get that every night, but the fact that he has the capability to do that, he's become their new Andre Iguodala. We know what Iguodala meant to that original dynasty. So I wouldn't say that he's more important than what some Marcus Smart's role, but I would say it's equal. And I hope that's not a cop out, but I just think that he is someone that is he's become so special, and they trust him in big moments that he's really answered the bell time and time again this whole season. So yeah, I love his game. I would love him in a Celtics uniform. I think he would be phenomenal. So that's what makes this question so hard to answer. But no, I wouldn't put one above the other, but he definitely has become their new day Andre Iguodala.
He's their Steve Kerr.
That too. If you want to put it that way, I just feel like he's big. He's bigger than Kerr. That's why I say
he's better. But
no. I'm he's better, but he's bigger. He's bigger than him too. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. But I just mean for the moments. I mean, I'm not gonna answer it. I agree with most of what Ray's saying, but if you ask me which one I'd rather have, I'd take Marcus Smart every day of the week and twice on Sundays, just because of what he brings to the table more consistently. I think that, Jordan Poole, great. I mean, I think he can be trusted in big moments. I agree with that. I just think Marcus Smart is the kind of player where you notice his absence immediately. I think we've seen that over the course of the last few series. I think you notice his absence immediately. I think you notice Jordan Poole's contribution immediately, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I think that the sort of the intangibles that Marcus Smart brings to the table, I think are harder to quantify, which makes it such a difficult question to ask, but also sort of answers it. And in a sense, it's like, I don't know, I want the magic potion. I want the mystery box. I want what's behind door number 3. I think you kind of know where you're getting with Jordan Poole now after watching him this season. And I agree that he's improved a lot. But I think that Marcus Smart's just harder to game plan for. You know, he just is. And I just think if I had to pick one, I'm a fucking homer. This is a Celtics podcast. Of course I pick Marcus Smart, but I think there's reasons.
So there is context for this question. And the reason why I asked that is because NBC Sports released their top 15 most important players in this series, and they ranked them, right? So number 1, Jason Tatum. Number 2, Steph Curry. 3, Jaylen Brown. 4, Draymond Green. 5, Klay Thompson. 6, Jordan Poole. 7, Marcus Smart. So it looks like based on what they need from him, the NBC Sports and a couple of the other networks are saying that they need him to be more important for the Warriors to win. I think what I'm sensing from you is a lot of the things that Marcus Smart brings, you really can't put on a stat sheet. Like you either you see it or you know that you're not seeing it, right? So
he's more important. He's more important for them.
Yeah,
I think he's more important for them than maybe Marcus is for us. Maybe only because I think we have
better
4 better players from 5 to 9. You know, in that range. I just think they need Jordan Poole. They need him because it goes, in my opinion, on talent on their team. It goes and requirements. It goes Steph, Klay, Draymond, probably Jordan Poole. Right. For us, we have Derek White. We can sort of live without him in a weird way. You know what I mean? We have guys that are offering different things, and I would imagine Jordan Poole's points per game is higher than Marcus's, right? I would.
Yeah, not by a whole lot.
3.
Oh, about 3 more. Okay, so he gets 6.
So what's Marcus 15?
No.
He's 18.
Yeah, he's 18.4. Marcus is 15.5 in the postseason.
Sure.
Oh, okay. So about the same. So,
about even. I mean that you're in the 15-18 range, right? You're in that bracket.
Yeah.
I would think that they're that column in the box score is more important for them than Marcus's points column in the box score is for us. You know what I mean? I just think that it's a weird comparison, because I just think he does such different things for them than Marcus does for us also. And I think, again, I mean, just the veteran experience, Marcus has sort of been thereabouts before. For me, it's a no brainer, but I get it.
Where did they have Wiggins on the list?
Oh, so that was going to be my next point. But before we go there, Jordan Poole, Jordan Poole is shooting 53% from the field this postseason. So that's
I'm telling you, he's a problem. It's not. So watching their games, it's not he's wide open most times. And then and Steph's absence when he was out, he was cooking people.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, for sure. I think he's a good scorer, and I also think that we got a little lucky against Miami because their bench just really didn't fucking show up, which makes sense. I mean, they had injury issues, whatever, but it's not like Tyler Hero came out and fucking killed us like everyone said he was going to. I wonder if we're a little bit better at not letting bench guys come off and spark.
So I think to your original points that you both made earlier, the Celtics don't get baited into double teaming, whether it's Steph, Klay, Draymond. They're gonna play.
They don't have to.
Right. They'll play one-on-one, whereas teams like Dallas and the other teams that they've gone through, that they had to pick one that they're going to double, and then you leave Poole wide open. So you brought up Andrew Wiggins, and it was going to be my last question before we segued into the game one predictions. He's ranked 8. I have my own theory on and my take on Andrew Wiggins, but I want you to tell me why he might be either the most underrated or the most overrated person on the rosters between the Warriors and the Celtics.
So he's their Harrison Barnes now. He's a better version of Harrison Barnes.
It's accurate.
Yeah, and I just think that this is not the KD Warriors, obviously. So this is more of their 2013 to 2016 team. This is how that team was built. And yeah, he's a better version of Harrison Barnes, and he's going to be the primary defender on Tatum, which is why I'm actually shocked that they had him at 8 and then Poole at 6. Even though I think Poole is better, I think that for this series, the contribution that Andrew Wiggins is going to give is more important to the series than what Jordan Poole is going to be able to offer. Because if Andrew Wiggins is not invested in offensively, and if he's getting cooked on defense, whether by Tatum or Brown, Golden State is going to be in trouble. I'm telling you that right now. Because he's a 6'8" guy, versatile defender, someone that can also get you 20 a night. People forget that. I don't know where people have that mistaken. He can't get buffed still. He is someone that was the number 1 pick for a reason. Coming out of Kansas all them years ago. Same draft as Marcus Smart. So yeah, I think for this series, he's someone that should be flipped with Poole, in my opinion, because of what he's going to need to do in order for Golden State to be successful in the series.
So I agree with you, right? I do think that his game has improved on both sides, offense, defense. The reason why I don't think he is number 6 and he is number 8, I'm just going to tell you, like right now, like when you said that he's going to guard Tatum one-on-one, if I'm Tatum, I love that. Everyone was like, Andrew Wiggins is playing stellar defense in this playoffs, and he's playing better defense.
Yes.
Yeah. Luka Doncic shot 49% when he was guarded by Andrew.
I knew that was good. Hey, it's Luka, man. Like, hey, it's Luka. It's Luka, man. Luka was hitting shit for the parking lot, bro. Like it was wild. It got ugly early. It got
sure,
really
but like Tatum has that thing in him too, where you're gonna put your best defender on me, I'm gonna cook him. So like,
facts.
I think that could happen. Go ahead, DK.
I just think we switch. I just think we switched so well, and I think he's playing really good in relative terms to like how far his stock dropped, but he's still not playing number 1 overall pick. Round 1, pick 1. I don't think he's there. I think he's better than he was, and I think he could have gotten a most improved player award. I think, and I also think he's like in a really smart role for the Warriors too. I think that kind of, and like, don't shoot me for this because I know they're completely different players, but that kind of PJ Tucker role, if that makes sense, like that, like doing that stuff on the outside. It makes sense to me that Luka still cooked him because Luka's Luka. Just to agree with Ray on that one, I think nobody's having a good night against Luka Doncic. You know what I mean? It's just not going to happen. So you live with what he gives you. But I think it's a testament to Steve Kerr and the Warriors system, how they can kind of do this consistently with like not just him and get the best out of guys. I think it's a testament to him that he's playing the way that he is because he's not living on I'm still a superstar, I'm still going to be the best player in the NBA. He's like he's playing a good defensive game and he's got more intangibles and stuff. We switch so well, we can put him in no man's land. We really can. And I think that's what we're going to be trying to be doing. What we're going to try to be doing. And I think that they kind of invented the positionless basketball that we try to play. Right. But I think that we've sort of perfected it in Boston, because I think the way that all 5 of our guys, no matter really what rotation is out there, can kind of play anywhere is going to make Andrew Wiggins' fucking head spin. I really do. Like a lot of what I've seen out of him, and admittedly, it doesn't sound like I've watched him quite as much as Ray has, but what I've seen out of him is you can't give him a lane. I think a lot of those points come from the fact that I think he can get to the basket really easily. I don't think we do that. Was Jimmy Butler doing it? Yeah, but he's not Jimmy Butler when it comes to trying to get to the basket. I think, he's a good shooter. What would you say? 53%?
No, that was Poole.
That was Poole.
Andrew Wiggins is not shooting that.
Yeah, I was going to say that seems high for him.
He's shooting 48% from the field in this postseason.
He's at 48%.
That's still really fucking impressive.
Oh, yeah. But like
he's not doing that against us.
He's getting to the rim.
He's getting to the rim a lot.
So with him, right? And this kind of sounds like it would be more of a slander statement as opposed to a compliment. But
great, so make it.
He can't. Right, exactly right. He can't. If he's not thinking, then it's good. Like it's going to be a very good night for him, for the team. If he's just saying, okay, I'm in attack mode from the jump, you're going to hear Andrew Wiggins' name by the PA announcer a lot, because when he's on, he can mess around and get you 25 easily in his sleep. I've seen it in Minnesota. I've seen it in his days here in Golden State. But if he's doing too much thinking out there, meaning like, so if Tatum's out there and giving him what I call a mixtape session, and it's just something where it's just gonna be out of control. He's like, man,
oh my God, Andrew Wiggins, we found you on a dat pit.
Yeah. Damn, would you find that, son? Yeah, but you know what I'm saying? So if it's something like that, like it's gonna be very ugly in a very short series for Andrew Wiggins. But yeah, if he's not thinking and having many things to worry about, offensively or defensively, then I think he'll flourish. But
that's what I'm saying. Though.
I'm hoping that's the case.
I think we can make his fucking head spin with the.
Yeah, I'm hoping, bro. I'm hoping. I'm hoping. Please. Yeah.
Can we play the kind of physical basketball we've been playing though? Like, something occurred to me.
It may not be needed though.
But it was. But to your point, you were saying about the finesse play and how we're both finesse teams, and it benefits the Celtics if we're playing like fast and loose. We can still body them if we want to, though, and like, why not? Like, why not have them limping into game 5 and game 6? Depending on how the refs are calling it, but it seems like we can do it. We played 2 incredibly physical series. We played the Nets physical, and they thought we were going to come in and try and play finesse ball. We played them physical, and that fucking threw them off completely. They were like, "Wait, what's happening?" So, I mean, being able to switch from a finesse team to a rough and tumble sort of grit and grind team, a classic grit and grind team. Honestly, the way that we play sometimes defensively, especially, they can't do that. They need Warriors basketball to get them to the promised land. We can play a lot of different ways. So, just saying, I hope it won't be necessary. Fuck it. If it's a great spectacle, awesome. But like, to the Andrew Wigginses of the world, if you're just feeling pain every time you come around a screen, like, why not?
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I say knock Klay Thompson on his ass, because not Steph. I'm like, Steph, he's the he's the golden boy, so he gets protected a little bit. But
100%.
I would knock Klay Thompson on his ass a few times.
You can get him frustrated. I've seen it in the past.
Right, but that could go both ways, because obviously, like, when he's on, that team is different. Like, I think that's what I'm saying. I want to attack him the most, because I feel like if you get him out the game, it puts more pressure on Steph to do something.
It's gonna be on Jalen.
Yeah, so I'm totally, and I think Derek White, when he's in the game, will be on him as well. Because it's conditioning. I think he could follow Klay Thompson around the perimeter. So yeah, but to me, knock Klay on his ass a few times. Hell, even knock Wiggins on his ass a few times too. Like, once again, get them out of the game mentally. Well, I mean, Klay, you're not going to do that, because Klay's going to be in it. He's been there many times.
I'm just worried about Klay, to be honest with you.
Knock him out.
I'm worried about Klay's game, because I feel like the thing that we lack is keeping an eye on guys off the ball. Yeah, I think we sag on guys that move really well off the ball, and I cannot think off the top of my head. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think we've seen any off the ball guys as good as Klay Thompson this playoffs.
No.
So that's what I'm worried about.
We would have, but he was hurt, and that was Middleton. Middleton's really good.
Yeah,
too,
sure, totally.
Yeah.
And I think that was a big part of the reason why a lot of people were saying Middleton being out was such a huge factor. But we don't do super, and I think Jaylen Brown's a culprit in this, so it's kind of a double whammy. But yeah, I just hope we're paying attention, we're keeping our eyes on the off the ball guys, because Klay can fucking ghost. He can disappear and then pop up in his exact spot, and you're like, how did we let him get there again? We've seen that for years. So,
right.
Well, while you're still going, DK, give me your game 1 prediction. NBA Finals, game 1. What happened?
I'm gonna say the Warriors win. Only because we've had a lot of really bad game 1s so far. We're away from home. I think they got a little bit more rest, but in that Warriors victory, I think we see exactly the route to the promised land of winning the next 4 games. So I think Celtics in 5, and I think the game that we lose is game 1.
Wow, bold. All right, Ray.
So we got you going 0-4 Pistons. I like it. I'm with that. Actually, no, I'm sorry. 0-4 Pistons, and it was actually 91 Bulls as well, because the Bulls won 4-1 and 91 against the Lakers too. So I'm
serendipity, my friend.
There you go. Oh my. I got Boston actually still in game 1, and then Golden State will win game 2, going back into Boston for next Wednesday. I say Boston wins 108-104. Tatum or someone will hit a shot late that will put them up. And I think, Golden State finds a way to get it done in game 2. But I'm going to say, obviously the last time we won was 08. I feel like the series ends like how it did in 08. We kind of go back and forth. And then we blow them out the building in game 6 in our building, and we become world champions. So, wow, that's what I'm going with. Yeah.
I got Celtics in game 1. I got them 112-104.
Okay.
But I have this thing going 7. And I do think that the Celtics will. I can't believe, you can remember this. I can't believe I'm saying this, but they are the better team. And I do believe that coming off of, they're 5-0 this postseason, coming off of a loss. Mm-hmm. So you still game 1, you've set yourself up you can do what you've done all postseason. Just keep doing it, and you're going to win this. You're going to win this thing in 7. And I think, it'd be great for them to win it in Boston. Would be even sweeter is this comeback story of the Golden State Warriors to end with the Boston Celtics hosting that trophy in their arena.
And Tatum hitting a Kyrie type 3.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It might bring go bang. Tatum does it again.
A blowout in game 6, like the anything is possible game would be really fucking cool. I just like,
I'm
like, oh my God.
Plus I'd be there.
Yeah.
So that'd be
I will just say though, can I ask you guys both this question just at this point, like all Discord animosity aside, are you believers yet? Have they convinced you? I mean, if they lose the game in this series, is the reaction going to be different?
So
Okay,
go ahead, Mike.
So at the incident that you're pointing to, they were down 13. There was 4 minutes left in the game. They weren't playing well, and when they started to, the refs were just blowing the whistle, like they were taking them out of it. So
but that's not why they lost that game, though.
Well, they got themselves back into it, and then Jalen missed 2 huge free throws. Right, but so I'm hard on them now because I do believe that they, like I said to you 4 months ago, they're the best team in the East. So there's no excuses not to get to where they are now.
You can be hard on them, but if they lose a game, I'm saying if they lose a game, are you going to be more you can be hard on them. You can be mad at them for the reason that they lost the game. But are you more confident now that they're going to find a way to dig deep and come back? Because I feel like there's even up until this point for you guys, for parts of my psyche, for the Twitter fans out there, there's been a lot of residual memory of the bubble team, of the LeBron fucking eating us team. Like there's been a lot of that residual memory. Is that still here in this series?
No, I think for me and Ray, that you can go, that they kind of killed that, right? Because if game 6 happens, if the same game 6 happened, that happened this year, happened 2 years ago, different coach team, same players, the game 7 would have been a blowout. Like the Heat would have smashed us. This team is resilient. The coach is resilient. I don't think they're ever going to be out of the series. I would be surprised if they would get blown out. So that's why, like, I fully expect them to win this in 7.
Yeah. I'm along that same, mindset. And I think I said at the beginning of the show, I no longer doubt their ability on the road. Like I said, I don't like what they've done in TD Garden. At times, I feel like they need to be a little more, protective of home court. It's kind of pissing me off that they've kind of tricked out some games at TD Garden. But if they say, hey, to a man, we can get 1 on the road, if not 2 on the road. I mean, hell, they won 3 on the road last series. Like, I mean, and if they do win it this year, this will separate them from the 08 team. That 08 team sucked on the road all the way to the Detroit series, right? They didn't win.
We talked about that. Yeah, so they couldn't win a road game until
so this team here. And remember, I told you, Mike. Me and Mike had an argument about it. I think it was maybe about a month and a half, maybe a month before the season started or ended, I should say. And I said, hey, their defense is traveling. These guys on the road, they figure something out. And Mike was like, I don't know. I said, no, I don't know. Like when you're smacking guys by 10, 15 on the road, I said, you're not afraid of any place anywhere. And Mike was like, pump the brakes. I'm like, no, like I felt it then. But they showed it in the playoffs. Like
it's how they look. It's how they look.
How they look.
It doesn't even look like a classic road win. Stay with them, push in the fourth quarter, push. It's literally like, no, we're winning, we're better.
Yeah,
they're so unafraid.
Super tough
in other places.
I'm not. I have no doubts on the road. Like I said, when you're at the crib, you got to protect the shit. Get that shit done. So if you end up splitting here and going to state,
especially with go
win twice. Yeah, go win. Go win both of these games. That's gonna be super hard. And listen, I think I had just started at TD Garden when Steph and them came in December. Golden State was in there. Them fans was in there. They traveled just like we traveled. So hopefully, and hopefully we find a way to make it at least 95% us. But Golden State fans are out here and they traveled. So that game was packed. It was sold out, and they were there in attendance that night.
Fucking front runners, if you ask me.
Yeah, sure.
Those guys were all Laker fans 10 years ago.
They was there. I mean, it wasn't a We Believe Warriors team, but they clearly was there. So, it should be exciting to see how the series unfolds. But like I said, Celtics are 6, and like I said, they definitely are. The T-shirt if they win should just say definitely the Road Warriors, because that's what they've been. They're phenomenal.
I'm happy that we're playing the Warriors. I'd be happy if at some point in their past they like blew a huge playoff series lead, like revealing a mental week. Oh wait, they fucking did do that. Never forget. Never forget that the Warriors blew a fucking 3-1 lead with LeBron in the finals. I'm just saying. Never forget.
You can't say anything else after that. So for DK Sizzle, Dave Clarke, Hollywood, Rayshawn, Buchanan, this is Michael Marcangelo saying thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Missing the Point on the 617 podcast. We'll talk to you later.